This is Driving Solutions, exclusively on CPTnews.com.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick with CBT News. If you're a dealer considering growth or maybe an exit from your business, it's so important to have the right team behind you to provide an accurate valuation. Bel Air Partners, a dealership buy-sell firm, has been advising dealers for more than 25 years. Today we're learning more about their valuation work and what they're recommending for dealers. Joining us now is co-managing partner of Bel Air Partners, Mr. Todd Berko. Todd, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Sure. So let's kind of jump right in here. Bel Air Partners provides a number of advisory services to clients. I've spoken to a number of your clients over the years. Talk to us about that.
Well, obviously we do buy-sells like a lot of folks. We specialize in some of the more technical ones because we believe we have expertise in financial analysis that, other people don't. Mm-hmm. We help raise capital from institutions, particularly people who are interested in investing in minority equity pieces and people who provide debt capital, and also obviously sale leasebacks on the real estate side. We do some litigation support. We typically represent the dealer in conflicts with the factory, i.e. open points, loss calculations based on if we win, what are our damages? I do some of those claims. Obviously, we help with real estate financing, lease renegotiation. We're working on some of those transactions now. And we're also helping with strategic plans of people who want to buy a lot of dealerships and they want to figure out how best to position themselves, what their strategic plans are, and figuring out those things. So that's sort of what we do. And valuation services are what we're focusing on now, I guess, today.
Right. So it sounds like you're a full solutions provider for anybody that's thinking about buying or selling.
Typically, this has been an industry of gunslingers. I want to sell my deal. Some guy calls me up. I got a buyer for your deal. Okay. And you sign him up and you're not really sure what his contracts are, what kind of guy, what kind of person he is. We want to build longer term relationships. Mm-hmm. And, the whole idea of is this is a life cycle event.
Yeah.
And you don't want to deal with it with somebody you just met.
Yeah.
Or somebody you don't have a relationship with. So we try to do the valuations at the beginning to show people what we can do and help them. People want to sell their dealership. They want the maximum price, but that's not the driving reason why they sell their dealership. It's a lifestyle event.
Yeah.
They don't want to be a dealer anymore. They don't have a good succession plan. So you want to be able to be an advisor to the client, know them personally so that you can give them more than just, well, this is the right price.
Sure. So focusing on your business valuation work, how involved are you? And is it a large part of Bel Air Partners' business?
It's a large part in the sense of we do it not only for our buy-sell work, but like I said, we do it for life cycle events, for investing. So we do it a lot. And also, you're talking to somebody on the phone and they want to know, but what do you think my dealership is worth within 10%? Because you can do that almost off on the phone.
Sure.
But to get that last 10% actually takes 80% of the work.
Yeah.
Very involved with that.
Interesting point. How involved are these valuation projects?
They can be they're very involved.
Yeah.
Some people just look at the dealer statements, and we don't do that because the dealer statements at the beginning, we like to look at the tax returns, the trial balances, everything that the accountants look at, because if you're going to do a transaction, you're going to go through due diligence. Mm-hmm. So we like to basically mimic somewhat of the due diligence so that there's no surprises. Because the one thing that off-roads a deal more than anything else is surprises and a lack of trust between parties.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to eliminate.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. How does your active participation in the buy-sell world help make your valuations more accurate? I mean, you guys are out there doing deals all the time, so you've got your hand on the pulse, right?
Well, it's more than that. You should be surprised how many people have valuations done where they don't differentiate between the market and the franchise. So you'll read, I just read one, 150-page valuation on a single-point store where they don't mention what the franchise is or the market. So when you look at people's work and they go, well, the multiple range for this type of dealership is 7 to 9 times, right? And then for another dealership, it could be 3 to 4 times. So
right.
I'm selling a Mitsubishi dealership. You may be overvaluing my deal, but if I'm selling a Mercedes dealership, you could be undervaluing. These are things that have to be taken into account.
Sure.
The other adjustments are when you look at beyond the dealer statements, you see what the add backs are. Because the important part in an acquisition, when somebody prices it, is not your cash flow, it's the cash flow that they get and they can control.
Right.
So if you're paying your wife $150,000 a year, well, that's really an add back. It's not really an expense, and you don't get that from just looking at the dealer statement. So you got to go deep.
That's right. Yeah, there's always a much deeper story to be told, right? If you know, in your case, if you know what you're looking for, it sounds like you do.
Well, I do. They fall into a big part of it. And it's also setting of expectations, right? If you go in there and somebody says to you, I got a buyer for your deal and he'll pay 10 times, and then that turns out not to be really market, then you're left disappointed. And you got to realize that, you've been misdirected, and it's not a good thing.
That's right. But you spend a lot of time and maybe even listed with that individual only to find out that it's not coming to fruition.
Well, what the other thing is that we tie blue sky multiples, and people talk about, blue sky as a concept, whether it's good or bad. I actually think it's good, and I can explain to you the reasons why later on. But we tie that to return on investment, multiple of EBITDA, and evaluation of a lot of other methods so that we temper the blue sky multiple by what the guys actually look for. So in our mind, blue sky multiple is the initial conversation. But as a guy gets deeper into the deal and realizes how much cash he's got to actually put to work, in his mind, he may not be actually thinking about it in math, but he's thinking about what his return on investment is. What does he have to put in to generate this much profit?
Sure. Do you value any other businesses besides dealerships?
Well, obviously we value, car washes, leasing companies, all those things. But prior to working for Bel Air, I was on Wall Street for 15 years, where I valued a wide variety of companies, many in consolidating industries. I mean, I'll give you an example. We had a client, a very close friend of mine, whose family owned a baseball team. And I valued that.
Oh,
and
wow.
Interestingly enough, baseball teams, there's agreements between them and Major League Baseball.
Sure.
So you have to look at those agreements. So yes, I valued a wide variety of businesses, everything from funeral homes to courier companies, and they follow a lot of the same principles.
Yeah. And I would imagine that dealers will sometimes come to you and say, not only do I own this dealership, but I own a number of other businesses. Can you help me in those, right?
I do. Some I will value, some I won't value. For example, high-tech businesses that, you're really betting on a concept coming to fruition. That's something I'm not comfortable with because I'm not an expert in AI.
Yeah.
I'd like to be, but that takes a lot of time.
Sure. Why should a dealer consider obtaining a business valuation?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. Beyond the fact that there's events, life events like death, birth, giving to your children, having a minority partnership.
Sure.
Like your home. You want to know what your home is worth because you want what your personal balance sheet looks like.
That's right.
Because that's going to lead you to make decisions about your future. I mean, if you're a single point dealer, you want to know not only what your dealership is worth, but you want to know is if you sell it, can you maintain your lifestyle?
Yeah.
Because you won't be getting that kind of income. You'll be lucky to get, 8 to 12%, maybe a little bit more in the stock market.
Yeah. But
you're used to your money working a lot harder for you. So you need to understand those things because you need to understand your options.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point, it's great. It's almost imperative that somebody that owns a dealership knows what they're sitting on, right? In terms of the value of that store at any given time.
Well, you have that. And you also have, if a manufacturer comes to you and says, we want you to do $8 million worth of facility renovations and your store is worth $2 million blue sky, you're not going to go for that. You need to know the relative value of things because, a lot of the work we work on is, the capital investments. Sometimes they don't make any economic sense because, I guess the factories will hear me say this, but they really don't care about your return on investment. They want their facility to look a certain way.
Right.
And it's easy to spend somebody else's money.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it.
That's right. And those decisions are often made by somebody that's in a suit in an ivory tower that has no idea what it's like to run a business. They just say, let's get that new prototype building up, right?
Well, they say, we give you the cards, we give you all this money. we want everything to look very similar. We want ourselves to present it to the customer in a certain way. And
That's
I can
right.
appreciate that. But when you ask somebody to invest in assets that have 10, 20, 30-year lifespans because you're building a building, and this guy says, oh, in 5 years, we're going to change our minds, then it becomes a little bit iffy.
Yes. No
You
question
know,
about
I mean,
it. That's
you
right.
know, I mean, we're on phase 16 and you're on phase 10 2 years ago. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right. Hey, before I let you get out of here, talk to us a little bit about, I know you all had an incredible year in 2023. What is 2024 going to look like for your company? Are the deals already starting to line up?
Yeah, there's a lot of buy sells happening. You know, there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, one of the things, you know, I'll bring up about valuations is valuing a business for sale has changed dramatically over the past year. What I mean by that is that now that COVID is done, earnings are starting to come down. So it used to be, oh, we'll average, or we'll take last year's earnings, or we'll take historical earnings from the past 2 to 3 years. Now buyers are going, well, you're not going to make that much money in the future. So now it's figuring out what a dealership can make this year, next year, the year after. And that to me makes it more difficult. There's more uncertainty. But people have been making so much money. Buyers have been making so much money. They want to put their capital to work. There's a lot of interest in buying the deals. And really, I like to say this. There's always an active market. It's the bid-ask spread that matters.
Yeah.
Always people coming to me saying, I want to buy a deal. And there's always people saying, I want to sell my deal. The question is getting it between, so you get them in a room so these guys can shake hands on a deal.
Yeah. That's the
It's
key.
really about the spread more than anything else, but we're always busy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. You enjoy a great name out there in the automotive arena. So dealers that are watching, and there's a lot of you out there that are maybe on the fence about buying more dealers to grow your group or to sell your dealership for whatever reason, many of them Todd talked about today, give these guys a call and speak to Todd, and he'll give you some insights as to what your store may be worth. And of course, maybe it's time that you get a full valuation done. So Todd Berko, co-managing partner at Bel Air Partners, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We very much appreciate it. I know that our dealers watching are going to get a lot out of your visit with us. So thank you.
I thank you. I appreciate your time.
Great,
And have a good
thanks.
day.
Thanks for watching Driving Solutions, exclusively on CPTnews.com.